Happy wife is worth two in the bush. Freeze drying some spaghetti sauce. It's just as much about taking care of what you already have as it is about acquiring new stuff. Pastors are good at two things. They're good at setting up chairs. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm freeze drying some spaghetti sauce and some banana mush in here, and it'll turn into banana chips once it's freeze dried, which they're really good actually, but the verdict's still out on the freeze drying process just in general. I don't know, it takes quite a bit of time, so you have to prep everything, you have to put it on these, you have to cook the stuff, generally speaking, unless it's something like bananas. But like spaghetti sauce, you gotta cook it, you gotta prepare it, put it on these thin trays, put it in here, and it takes basically, pretty much a full day, a full 24 hours almost. I think 18 hours is what it had to cook at last time in the freeze dryer to make it work. So how much does it cost in energy, in electricity to do that? I don't know. That's going to be a difficult one to calculate. I'm not sure exactly how I would figure that out. But again, like I said, the verdict's still out on that. What's cool about it is you get food that has a shelf life of like 25 plus years. And that's awesome if you preserve it correctly after you freeze dry it. So I don't know. It's awesome. It's really cool. I like the freeze dried stuff. I like the Mountain House meals and that kind of stuff. It's really cool to be able to make your own. So we'll see. Once a week, I meet with some buddies. I meet with a group of guys, and we just discuss life. We have breakfast and coffee, and we talk about our feelings. No, one of the guys in the group is actually a pastor, and pastors are good at two things. They're good at setting up chairs, setting up and taking down tables and chairs. They're really good at that. And they're good at making nice little handout flyers and stuff. One of the things that was brought up today was kind of the story of Moses, and it was like, Moses in the beginning, when God chose him, Moses saw this burning bush, and he went up to it, and he said, and was speaking to God, and God said, hey, I want you to go do this thing. It's really important to do this. And Moses kept giving excuses why he couldn't do it. Can't do it because of this. I'm not a good speaker, I'm not eloquent with my words, or something like that, I think is the way he put it. Thick of tongue, I think, might be one of the translations. So maybe he had a speech impediment or something. I don't know. But he kept making excuses of why he couldn't do the things that God was telling him he needed to do. And I think that I often do that in my life. I say, okay, I need to get this done, but I make this excuse like, oh, the weather's not good, or oh, I got to do this first and that first before I can do this thing. And you put up these barriers, these walls to these projects, these things that need to be done. And I think one thing that I'm going to focus on this week is just ignoring the excuses, and just figuring it out. Winners find a way. That's something that I always tell other people, and I need to make sure that I'm doing that as well. I need to find a way to make the things happen. If I'm being led to go do this thing, I have this project, this task that needs to be done. Instead of making excuses about why I can't or shouldn't or wouldn't or couldn't, I just go do it. All right? Let's be doers. So these are my blueberry bushes here, and what I'm doing is I'm just gathering organic material, organic matter. This is leaf, not leaf, but, actually it is. This is leaf litter that we raked up during the fall when all the poplar trees and stuff around here were dropping their leaves. We'd rake them up into this big pile, and then I just scattered them and spread them out around the blueberry bushes. This is grass clippings. When I bush hog the field, a few times a year that I do that, we'll rake it all up, we'll gather up a whole bunch of grass, and we'll pile it up around the blueberry bushes. Big branches that fall out of the trees. Poplars are known for dropping their lower branches. I'm just gonna start stacking it up around the blueberry bushes, and all this stuff will decay and will rot, and those nutrients will be released into the soil and provide my blueberry bushes with some extra foodstuffs. Tulip poplar is probably the best source of tender material on the East Coast. Cedar, I guess, could be a close match to it, but this bark rips off in these big sheets like this. And these long fibers, these long hairy fibers like that, is the best stuff for tinder. So whenever I find big branches like this, I usually collect quite a bit of it and throw it in a bucket, let it dry out for future use. See, the thing is, I'm not really into buying fertilizers and soils and all that stuff. To me, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. I just go buy food if that was the case. If I can't make it, produce it, get it somehow from my own property, it doesn't really seem like self-reliance to me. And that's something that I'm invested in, and something I'm trying to improve upon. So like I said, if I'm going out and buying all the stuff, at some point, it doesn't make much sense, does it? Anybody else's workbench always looked kind of like this. Just a bunch of crap. So frustrating. Something I do to generate a little bit of extra income, and just because I enjoy doing it, is designing knives. And part of the design, the knife design process, is using it and abusing it, and then bringing it back to functional, serviceable edges. So, you know, how easy does it sharpen? Is this steel appropriate? Is the tempering correct for its intended purpose? Back in action. Here's how I manage some lengths of paracord. You know, this is probably, I don't know, 15 feet or so. So what I'll do is I just pinch it between my two fingers, and I'll wrap it around either 3 or 4 fingers, depending on how much cord we've got. This is only about 10, 15 feet, so I'll do 3 fingers. I'll just wrap it up, pinching it between my thumb and my index finger, and then I wrap it around and around and around till I get close to the end. And once I get close to the end, I'll leave about, say 2 feet or so hanging off. I'll take the coil, I'll give it a half twist like that, and bunch it up, and then I'll just wrap over top of itself, nice and neat and organized. And when I get close to the end, I'll go over top of my thumb just one time like that. Over top of my thumb, I'll stick the tag in through, pull tight, and now we have a nice organized piece of paracord ready for action. Our daily lives are full of choices that have to be made, right? We could choose to do, we could choose to do not. I am choosing, instead of, I mean, I have a long list, just like all of you guys. I have a long list of things that need to get done, right? And I could choose to do any of those things. I have the freedom to do that. However, there are some things that take priority, generally speaking. One of those things is doing honey-do things like this for my wife. This is going to be a shelf for our kitchen that she's been wanting for a while. And while I could choose to not do this today and do other projects that are pressing and I may feel are more important, happy wife is worth two in the bush. I think that's how that saying goes. Happy wife is a wife indeed, maybe. Ooh. Turn off sander first. There's a hawk overhead, and the crows were scaring it off, which is nice. And I knew that we were saving these for a reason. Maggie's been out here at the wood pile after something for days. Still no visual, no idea what it is. Buddy and I built this bumper out of an old flatbed truck, and I've been meaning to paint it forever. It's just getting rustier and rustier, so I need to clean it up today and slap some at least primer on there today, and I don't know, hopefully we can get it all painted up, and that'll keep it from rusting in the future, so get on that. Also recently added this rail right here. This is where I'm going to be attaching stuff. So I'm going to be drilling holes in here for tie down points so I can put ratchet straps across here when I'm hauling big stuff. And this is also where the cover, the bed cover, is going to be attached to. It's going to sit on the inside of this. At least that's the plan as of now. So I'm going to slap some paint on that too. You know, prepping and preparedness is all about just doing the next thing. It's not about, you know, well, at least successfully doing it. It's not about going out to the store and just buying a whole bunch of crap or going online and ordering the next doodad or whatever that you think is gonna save you from the EMP. It's just as much about taking care of what you already have as it is about acquiring new stuff. If your house has a leaky roof, if your truck is rusting and falling apart or sitting in the driveway not running, it's not going to do you much good now, is it? So just the difference between successful people, regardless of if we're talking about preparedness or if we're talking about just life in general, the difference between successful people and people that just live their lives going through the motions, the people that really excel are the ones that get up every day and they do They get up and they do the next thing, they do the next thing. Obviously, talents and gifts and things like that come into play, of course, but at some point, you've got to actually utilize those talents. You've got to go do the things. Another one's just being self-motivated, you know, not requiring someone to hold your hand and babysit you through processes, just being, you know, having the gumption inside of you to get up and go do the things without someone telling you to do it. I've been trying to read more. You know, I'm not a big reader. You know, I wish I was. But usually, if I sit down to read, I fall asleep within about 30 seconds, generally speaking. So it's tough for me, but I've been trying to read a bit more and just educate myself further and expand my mind a bit. You know, the back of my truck says reading. And what's funny is, not that long ago, my buddy's son, he was, you know, 12 years old, give or take. And it's well known that I'm not an avid reader amongst my friends and community, apparently. And he said something along the lines of how it was ironic that the back of my truck says reading when I don't read. I think in light of current events, a lot of people are running around, you know, with their, like chickens with their heads cut off. And what do I do next? What do I do next? I got to do this, got to take care of that, you know. And you know, and to some degree, I can understand that, I guess, if you're completely unprepared and you don't want to be, you know, caught with your pants down kind of thing. But for the most part, like I was saying before, it's just a whole bunch of mundane, regular stuff that just needs to be done. There's no magical formula that's going to get you ready for the big thing or whatever. Even if there is going to be a big thing, you know, who knows? Big event of some sort. The EMP alien attack. And the thing that people fear, I feel like the most is, you know, well, obviously people fear the unknown, but they fear reverting back to a way that our ancestors just lived normal everyday life. I mean, they had to get up and do the chores and take care of the animals and grow the foods and that kind of stuff. And we fear that because we are unprepared. We fear it because we lack the knowledge, the skills, perhaps the tools, the properties and things to do those things that our ancestors used to do. And I get that. I guess that makes sense. Every day get up and be productive. Whatever's at the top of your list that you feel like you need to take care of, whether it be, you know, secure a solid water source, do that. Just do the research, figure out what it is that you need to do to make sure that happens. And everybody's results will vary. Everybody's situations are different. I can't tell you exactly what to do in your situation. Man, I was gonna go ahead and paint the black on there on top of the primer, but my paint is pretty much glooped and dried up. Living in a rural area is awesome, except for one thing. If you need to go get some paint, like I do, it's gonna take me 30 plus minutes to get there, 30 plus minutes to get back. And it's just it's a big drag. So basically, if you need something, you make a point to pick it up on your way to go do something else. So we're not gonna be painting today, basically, is what I'm getting at. All right, I'm gonna do a backflip to a butt bounce to a front flip. Oh! So you know how you're supposed to measure once or twice or 3 times and then cut once, or, you know, whatever the saying is? Well, I failed to do that. I was so confident it was 38. It's 35. 35. This thing here, this big L, is called a framing square. This makes 90-degree angles on boards.
Guys, hold on.
Hey, Sage, stop it. small little
It's
mark.
about
36 and a half.
that much.
Yep. Straight. There you go. And you're gonna push in a little bit. Right there. Good job. To the corner. What do you think? All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up and subscribing if you haven't done so already. The sun's going down. It's been a big day. I got a lot accomplished. And remember, probably the most important thing about preparedness is that you just be proactive and you start taking care of the things as they come along. If something needs fixing, fix it. If something needs stockpiling, stockpile it. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See ya. Good night, guys. Ooh, nice.